This is Hot Mike.
Hot Mike.
On the networks of WDAY.
WDAY.
Here's Dom Izzo. It's that time. An author.
Offensive production, number 1. Number 2, I forgot.
Golfer.
It'd be like going on a 3-person best shot, and we were saying, Kolpack, you got to make a 25-footer every time. You wouldn't putt first. I'd have Tim putt first.
And one heck of a TV personality.
This game is for the Cooper Cup.
It's the Forum's Jeff Kolpack.
4! I should have yelled 2.
Here he is, everybody. Jeff Kolpack joins us. His appearance is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Joins us each and every Monday at 10 o'clock. Good to see him, man.
Good to see you. I see we got rid of the dead weight in the meteorology
It's that time.
Uh-oh. Hey.
We don't need it twice.
Yeah.
He only needs it once. Yes.
Yeah, we got rid of the dead weight in the meteorology department. Are you next, or where are we going? What's the station's direction here?
I don't have any. I can't comment on that. But
I was just upstairs. I applied for the opening.
Did you now?
He said you could apply.
We have video of you actually doing.
Yeah, that was
on the green screen there for our bracketology show a few years back. I believe Sam actually. That would have been the. Getzinger had been here like 3 months, and he had no idea.
I know
what
he's
we were
like,
doing.
who is this guy?
We roped Sam
What's
into
up
that.
with what's going on
I
upstairs
forgot
here?
That. That's pretty good. I have a couple things I want to get to, and then later in the segment, I want to do a big J journalism question with you because you posted something that I want to talk about later in the show. Track did it again. No surprise, Stevie Keller's team on the women's side. The men ended up finishing in second. Because Carbon Cop, because I know you wrote the story on softball, which I want to get to as well. But if there's one thing that for Bison Athletics they can hang their hat on, track is pretty much going to win the Summit League championship every year.
Well, it's the first time the men had won it
in a while.
In 14 years.
In a while. Yep.
So at some point, you just can't break through every year. Just great recruiting. I mean, Stevie Keller and his staff, they find multi-sport athletes, and when they come here, all of a sudden they're concentrating on one thing, and they find good athletes and train them and develop them. And it's just great recruiting. I started with Don Larson. He'd go find some athlete in Stephen, Minnesota, and turn him into a multi, or decathlon, if you will. And so I just that's where it starts. It's not rocket science, but it's hard to do.
I look at a couple of years ago, Jacob Levine from Kenmare, North Dakota, just never finished, never won anything in high school.
Great story.
Right.
Yeah.
I think his highest finish was like third. And then he becomes NDSU's first individual on the male side to make the NCAA track championships. Just phenomenal. Like, that's the kind of athletes they have found and harvested to become All-Americans.
But they not only recruit these athletic kids, but they got to be tough too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're training up here in the Northland, and you don't have any really outdoor meets to speak of other than a couple invites, whatever.
Right.
You can't bring good teams in here, and they just continue and continue, and it just doesn't stop.
And they're from, like you mentioned, from Mayville, North Dakota, from Kenmare, from not big populous areas that they're finding Dynamite, Winemere. They got another couple on there. They're just, that's what they do, and they're really, really good. And every year they're. I mean, we did the story last year on Nell Graham. Nell Graham wasn't an outstanding high school athlete, ends up becoming an All-American here.
And I would argue that both the men's and women's golf programs are up there too every year, and they're doing it again with kids in the Midwest. They continually to threaten for a title every year in the summit. That's all you can ask. I mean, what were they, 3 shots back on the men's side this year? Had a chance to win it. You're getting kids, Ian Simmons from Moorhead. You just and that's good recruiting. And again, you're bringing kids in where you're not playing outdoor meets in Fargo, North Dakota. You're on the road every time. Granted, they go good places.
Yeah, that's right.
Which good for them.
Absolutely.
This year what did they play? The women went to Hawaii.
Yep.
The men played Bandon Dunes in Oregon, one of the great places in America.
And they played Bethpage as well, I believe.
Yeah,
they
they
did
did.
that. So that's not where the Ryder Cup's going to be this fall. So they were all right on that. Bison baseball wrapped up the regular season. They finally played a game on Saturday. They beat Omaha. They're going to be the 2 seed. They'll play Omaha in Omaha to start the Summer League baseball tournament.
And no reason they can't win that
No.
tournament. And you brought that up when they were on a 7-game losing streak, and I said, well, it's baseball. Just hold on here because it ebbs and flows. And so maybe they're peaking. We'll see.
Oral Roberts and South Dakota State are the other team. St. Thomas won the league for the second year in a row, and I was visiting with a couple of the Bison baseball players. I was up there last week talking for a story I'm working on this week, and I asked them, like, especially the Minnesota guys, how good is St. Thomas? And they both shook their head like, they're going to be here. That's going to be another one of the teams we're talking. Because I looked at it, Jeff. I'm going to do something on this maybe later in the week because now the transition is done, right? The 4 years are done. That they end up winning a couple of baseball titles. They got progressively better in softball. We know what they did in men's basketball. We saw what they did in women's basketball. Yep. They're coming, man.
They are.
Once it starts next year, it is game on.
Yeah, wait till they build a baseball facility.
Correct.
I mean, I went on a recruiting visit with my sons a few years ago to St. Thomas, and they were okay.
That was the one thing the players told me was about facility-wise. They get that, look out.
They were okay.
Yep.
Granted, the schools has some really cool parts to it, but once you build a nice facility there, wow, look out.
I mean, we're going to see it. Obviously, their brand new $100 million. I had Johnny Tower on the show last week. $100 million football or basketball and hockey arenas opening in October.
They're going to the Big East, aren't they?
Not yet. I mean, and if that ends up happening, great. But until then, it's a Summit League issue, and they are going to be an issue for upsetting that apple cart that we're used to seeing North Dakota State, South Dakota State on top in most sports.
I got an idea. So the MIAC kicked them out. We can kick them out. It's been done before.
Summit League needs members, man. They're not kicking,
come on.
They're not kicking anybody out. They need as many members as they can possibly get right now. That's not
Utah Valley, Dixie State. We'll trade for
that is such a lopsided trade. That's a terrible trade. I would not make that one. I was interested that Denver and Omaha do not have men's track. Denver doesn't have track at all. You've written stories about that. Track isn't that expensive. It's just odd to me that some schools don't have a track program,
especially in Colorado where track is big.
Yeah. Now, granted, they have lacrosse.
Do they have cross country?
I don't know about
that.
How
can you not have cross country in Denver?
Which again, that would seem rather obvious on that, but that struck me sideways. We teased it last week. I wanted to pay it off here on this before we break. You visited with Darren Mueller, Bison softball coach, late last week on I would say, struggles that softball's had since basically the pandemic. 2019 was the last time the Bison softball team went to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and he was very forthright and forthcoming, like you would expect him. And he goes, I understand. People care, and they care about the program, and they got to do better. He wants to get the collective going. I mean, and that's probably the next answer. These other programs have caught up and passed them. Yep. I mean, facility-wise, it used to be a time when NDSU would be, I think, the only school going to California and getting kids, which California is the greatest softball in the universe out there with high school kids and amateur summer ball stuff.
How often they play.
Although Nebraska's getting a lot better. Yeah. Darren pointed that out, that Nebraska's going to be a hot recruiting area.
Best player in the country is Jordy Ball. She's from Omaha.
Yeah,
she plays
came back home.
She plays for the Huskers now. She's really good. So,
and Omaha's keeping these good Nebraska players around, and they're close to home. So they got to have the answer, and maybe the collective and getting that going is something that would be the answer. The facility's nice. They're Elson Park.
Well,
turf.
They don't lack for that.
But no other programs. UND has a turf field.
Right. UND's one is really nice. The players is the biggest thing on that. I know he mentioned it a couple times in your story about getting older, which they have not.
Which they will be next year.
I'm interested in this because this has gone the opposite way of what women's basketball. Women's basketball wasn't very good, and now it's on an upward trajectory. This past weekend, you could staple yourself to the couch knowing the Bison softball team was going to be playing in the regional, be watching, winning a game, winning two, maybe to have a chance to advance to the supers. And it's been now 6 years since it happened. I don't.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you got caught like just cement-footed here? Like what happened after the pandemic? Because he mentioned it that he saw something happening there after that.
Yeah, I don't think he could really put his finger on it, is what I gathered. But it's also the changing landscape of the athletics in Power 4. With the money in the Power 4 programs, and now softball, fast pitch, has money at the Power 4 level, and he's going to change his scheduling philosophy. In the past, the Bison would always compete, if not beat them.
They would play everybody.
Yep.
And I've seen that the last couple of years they've done that and got beat up.
No, this year,
help.
Right, they were 1-9 against the Power 4, and when you look at our losing record, that doesn't help. So maybe he's talking about changing his scheduling philosophy, like I said. I mean, it's about pitching. Fast pitch is a pitcher's game, and the pitcher at Texas Tech apparently is making $1.2 million. These pitchers are six figures at that level. That's pretty hard to compete. Now, in the way back era, say Lindsey Graham, the great pitcher they had from Montana. She probably doesn't come mid-major anymore.
Whitney Johnson doesn't come here probably
She
anymore.
doesn't come mid-major either.
She was dynamite. I don't see her coming.
Now
here,
you're going to Power 4 as maybe the number 2 or 3, making $200,000 a year.
And that's just, it doesn't get the amount of attention that the other sports do. But why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't they be in the same boat that basketball is, that we talk about all the time? That's the same deal. It's just, I think they can still find players to be competitive. That's the thing. If they were finishing second, Jeff, I think we'd have a different conversation. They're finishing 5th or 6th or 7th. That's where I think
UND is doing it. Omaha's doing it.
Right.
South Dakota State's doing it.
That to me is where I think, at least how I sit on it, that doesn't sit well. Like, okay, why are they where they're at? And I'm intrigued to see. The collective part is great, but we've already seen Jay Bartley, that is, who runs the Green and Gold, struggle to get money for football. I don't know how you're gonna do that for softball.
Well, no, I think Darren's taking matters in his own hands. He's doing meetings himself.
Oh,
I would.
Yeah.
Any Olympic sport at NDSU, I would be one of my priorities. Is I would meet with any booster, donor, anybody who likes the program, and you know who they are. You see them at games and saying, "Hey, appreciate your support." I don't think that Jay's job is football, men's basketball and women's basketball.
No,
that's you can't do everything. You can't.
Then you need somebody to run that for those, though, I think. Being under that umbrella, I think, helps. Don't you? That you're under that Green and Gold collective deal.
Because it's made an impact in football.
Correct.
And you see that.
I think if you're attached to that helps. And if people were on social media that are on social media this past few days, you saw Cole Payton tweeting about it. Bryce Lance was out this weekend. Avery Coonan was out this weekend saying, thanks for being a part of it. If you want to get involved, this is where you got to go.
Well done spots, too, I'll say. Who's ever doing those, well done.
Bryce actually had a commercial on over the weekend, if you saw that, for the North Dakota National Guard. Yeah, Bryce Lance was right square forward in that. Like, he was the center star of that commercial.
And what a great entity to be a spokesman for, the National Guard.
Yep. So that's coming. But that, to me, my last point on this, if you're under that umbrella, and I appreciate Darren willing to do that, but if you're tied with that, I think there's some more weight to it because people know at least what that is now. If you're just out there on your own, that might be a difficult road to hoe.
Yeah, I think the model is working at NDSU and certainly football. The model is working.
And I think it's worked for basketball as well.
Yep.
I think
men and women.
I think it's certainly, they kept Avery Coonan and Jossie Schiller coming here. Big reason why the collective was able to make that happen, from what I was told. You can't dispute that. I want to break. We come back. I want to talk about a story that happened over the weekend for the PGA Championship. Kolpack tweeted about it, caught my interest. We're talk about that on the world of reporting, which you
journalism.
do. It's journalism with a big J.
I didn't bet on journalism.
You blew it on that. Hot Mike, back after this. All right, back here with Jeff Kolpack. His appearance is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. All right, buddy boy. I didn't see this story until you tweeted about it yesterday. Off Announcing reported this from the PGA Championship this weekend at Quail Hollow. Shane Lowry, who always runs a little bit hot anyway, I think he got caught with a couple of F-bombs, hot mic'd as well, says upset with ESPN reporter during the PGA Championship. The backstory on this is he was upset with an on-course reporter from ESPN. The golf rules allow for free relief if a player ends up in his own pitch mark, but not anyone else's. When Lowry was talking to a rules official about whether he was entitled to relief, an ESPN reporter said the pitch mark was not Lowry's. That unprompted input frustrated the golfer. You tweeted yesterday, Lowry is right. I've been at a couple basketball games where score was in dispute, was asked what score I have, and I was like, that's not my job to be part of the outcome. Okay. I have done this because I've had people come over to me. I do keep score. That's how I keep score for I do it for baseball, and I do it for basketball. That's how I stay my stats. And I've had people come over. We had it a couple of years ago because NDSU score kept having an issue, and they came over and like, this is the score of the game. If you're reporting, because you've done on-course reporting for us, is it not your job to tell what's going on? Like, that's not your pitch mark. That's ours.
It's not my job.
I disagree with that. If you're an on-course reporter, it is your job.
No, you're making a difference in the outcome of this tournament or game or whatever. It is not your job to volunteer and say, no, this is not right. I mean, that is not your job.
I disagree with that because that's not right. He's taking advantage of somebody else's ball mark, though, right?
That's the rules. That's the rules official's job. It's his job to be. Golf is a gentleman's
game. So you're
game.
saying if you were in that position,
I wouldn't say a word. Absolutely not.
Really?
No.
I disagree.
Absolutely not.
I would definitely say.
And again, I've been in.
I would have done that.
I've been at a couple high school basketball games where, you know how the score gets screwed up sometimes.
It happened at the Shack not that long ago.
Ref, somebody came over and go, "What do you have?" I'm going, "Hey, I'm staying out of this, man. I'm not going to be part of the story." Because what if the game ends up 59-58, and because your 2 points who you had that didn't, then how do you write that as you being part of the story? How do you write that?
I would say then, first off, they got it wrong. Like, they had it messed up. They came to me. I'm going to tell you exactly what I have.
But then all of a sudden the story is a column and it's first person. It's not.
You're reporting on it, though. That's what I'm saying. If you're an on-course reporter, which you
are
have been,
the neutral presence.
But if you're there,
you are the objective neutral presence.
I disagree with that. If you're there and see it happen.
Do I need to take you back to Journalism 101?
No, I'm telling because this is part of it. If you see it happen, you have to report on it. I'm not going to see a fire.
I just wrote about this.
You know what I mean? If I just see somebody start a fire, I'm like, well, I'm not going to report it, but I saw the guy start it. I'm inserting myself into the story? What?
Yes, you are.
But that's baloney.
It's not.
If I see somebody cause an accident, right? If a guy blows through a red light and I saw it, right?
But
and I'm not going to tell. I'm not going to tell.
Well, we're talking a game here.
No, we're not. We're talking reporting. We're talking journalism.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about. If I'm reporting on something, I saw that. You're not in that ball mark. That's somebody else's. Absolutely, you have to report that. I would be upset with myself knowing I didn't say anything and I could have. That would haunt me. I'm going to be honest with you. That would not sit well with me on that.
On the ball mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would not. And if I had the score, because the officials came over to me, I forget what game it was.
I'm not saying you can't report on it. You can say ESPN or whoever, say the Forum. I'll use the Forum if I'm reporting that. The rule was established or was dictated to be this, even though you can say the Forum in its reporting saw otherwise. You can say that. I'm not saying you can't report on it. I'm saying you can't interject yourself into the outcome of that ruling.
I disagree. I think if
you could still report on it, you could say the Forum in its reporting.
I would think it'd be negligent not to report on it. I guess that's what I interpreted from your tweet is not to report on it. Are you saying that's not accurate? You would report on it.
No, well, maybe I probably could have been.
I'm not trying to get you in a gotcha. I'm just asking your specifics.
I guess in clarity, I wouldn't have interjected myself. That's what I should have said.
Okay. But you'd still report on it, though, in terms of the entity.
If I'm 100% sure that that's what I saw.
Because Lowry was bent out of shape that the ESPN guy said
he shouldn't have been part of the story.
Yeah, I disagree.
Or she, whoever it was.
I disagree with that. I think if you see it happening, you gotta blow the whistle on that. You know what I mean?
This is not going to stop here, is it?
Well, I mean, I was curious. This is a conversation
to be
you and I would have.
continued in the pregame show next year at the Citadel.
I appreciate the fact we can have this conversation and not have anything spill over.
It's
on
good.
It. I would tell you that if I saw it, right, and I'm the on-course reporter, let's go out to Dom Izzo with the 17th hole. All right, well, Jeff Kolpack's ball landed in a different ball mark, and that's not his spot.
I'm on hole 18 at Mord Country Club, final round of the Red River Am. I'm covering Nate DeZiel as he's trying to close in on a finisher. Well, he's in pro now, but whoever. And say I'm closing in. And the same issue came up. I would say, okay, on the air, I would say, well, Dom, the ruling is this. My interpretation, what I saw, may be otherwise, but this is the ruling.
That's perfect. That would be, then you're doing your job, in my opinion.
But I didn't interject myself into the ruling. I didn't go up to the rules official and go, I would not go up to the rules official and go, hey, this is what I saw.
Yeah,
I would not do that.
See, though, that's apples and oranges. Like, I'm not, right, I'm not going over to them to stop it or to stop the game and say, wait a minute.
But that's what this guy did. He went up and said he interjected himself and went up and said, "No, that wasn't right. This is what I saw." He or she should not be doing that.
So it was just that the ESPN guy was a bit too in there involved when he asked to be, and that's what annoyed me a lot. Lowry said to the Irish Independent, I was just asking the referee, and the ESPN guy comes straight over and he's like, "That's not your pitch mark," and I'm like, "That's not for you
wrong.
to talk about. That's for me to call
That's
a rules official and
journalistically
decide
wrong.
what happens." I just said the rules official. What happens to the guy at 7:10 who's not on ESPN Live? I guarantee you he's down there arguing that's his pitch mark.
And again, I'll go back to my tweet. It's no different than the ref coming over to me as a reporter and going, "What score do you have?" I'm not going there.
See, I've had it happen twice over in college games.
Not
I've
going
had over
there.
what is the score, and then how many fouls do you have on this guy? And I've answered that both times. Well, we've been on the air because my mic is hot, as it is all the time. And I said, well, this guy, I've got him for 4. Or I've got him, he's
Why do they think you're reliable?
They see me with a scorebook. They think, and I'm calling the game.
There's an official score for a reason. That person is named official score.
Yep. I wanted to ask
Whether
your
it's right
thought
or
about
wrong,
that.
that is the official score.
By the way,
you are not the official score.
No, but I am official because I'm keeping track for myself and the broadcast. Like I've had it where I've had to tell our truck that, hey, the score is this. That's not up. That's not correct here in.
You have
in the
McFeely
building.
on tomorrow, right?
I do.
You have any other writers or reporters on this week? Ask them. I'd be curious to see.
I have a couple others. Yeah. Okay. I'll go the
Do
gamut
I
on
have to
that.
school everybody in this company?
By the way, Lowry hit his next shot in the bunker after that.
Oh, I
too.
know. He let it affect him.
You can't do that, right?
Yeah.
I get it. If to your point and to full extent of this for full disclosure, if I'm out there and I'm advertising it, then no, I totally agree with you on
But
that.
that's what this person did.
But I would say you still have to. If you see it, you have to report it. That's where I'm at. I don't know if I'm out there waving my arms like, "Hey, wait a minute,
Well,
Lowry."
that's what
It certainly sounds like that.
So now you're coming over to my side a little bit.
If that's how it went down,
Right.
That's how you're saying it went down.
And
Be that
even
as it
if somebody would have asked the reporter, I still don't think he or she should be part of the outcome.
Yeah. I'm going to agree to disagree on that one.
Okay.
I got an email in to ask him. Not everything. That's the whole point that Lowry's making, Eric. Is not everybody is on camera at like 7:00 in the morning.
Yep.
Like they had. This was a featured group. That's why they had a reporter on that. Email comes in, Jeff. How impressed should we be for Bison football on the? Bison have added 5 FBS transfers over the last couple of weeks.
Seems good. We'll see. I don't get all excited about this. They're unproven transfers by and large, unproven.
A lot of them have not played or barely played at the previous stops.
I'm just going to say I don't know, and I'm not going to. I'll tell you maybe in the middle of September if they're making any sort of difference.
I'll go earlier than that. I'll say fall camp. If we see guys that are in the
like I saw Money
2D,
Mitchell a couple runs in the spring event. I go, whoa, okay, there's something there.
Yeah, running back room is interesting now because we're going to have DJ Scott on later this week, who's the Kennesaw State transfer of where it's not a fair trade. You're losing Marty Brown to plug this guy in. That's not apples to apples kind of deal there. But I'm intrigued now. If you think Barika's number 1, Owen Johnson's going to be in the mix. You'd have to think this guy from Kennesaw's there. I think Money certainly is going to be in there.
I think Money has some Marty Brown look to him, some juke, some strength.
They have Barry Penu, his younger brother. They transferred in as well. I'll be intrigued to see how that. Polisic wanted more running backs. Well, how often did he hammer that about us when we were talking during fall camp? We want more guys back there. That will be something to watch.
Yeah, once again, Tim, he goes, "This is what we're going to do," and he did it.
He did it.
Yeah,
exactly
he just keeps continually backing up the talk.
Yep. And we got to go here. It's flashy. You see a guy from Minnesota or James Madison that are coming in, or Arizona State. Again, I would caution on that they're adding them. And Grant Olson said this to me on the show last week or 2 weeks ago when he was on. Yeah, we're adding these guys because we think they can play, but we got to be judicious about this, about how quickly they can see the field.
So my journalism professor, a woman named Lou Richardson, who was just fantastic, she's gonna be calling you in the next day or two.
Absolutely.
And giving you
I'm all aware.
Giving you a little journalism principles of journalism.
I'm more than willing to have the conversation. I'm glad.
She will set you straight.
Thank you for having
She set me straight.
Thank you for having the conversation with me this morning. I appreciate it. Jeff
Always
Kolpack
fun.
joins us each and every Monday. His appearance is
be
brought to us
continued.
by Northwestern Mutual. We'll break. We come back. Dickinson AD Guy Fridley will join us as they will be now known as the Mavericks. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns on a Monday morning. We're back after this.